Hi everyone. So a really long gap on Reagent Blues, but I've got to you an interesting topic like always, and that is the link between diet and cancer. Now, it is a well-known fact in the research community that there is definitely some strong links between cancer and diet, but let us try to see uh, at present what is the status. Is there any clear-cut link, and what can we as researchers or as students of science derive out of these research studies? So that is basically the main aim of this particular video. All right, now so a lot of studies have been done on how the diet influences cancer there, and there are very promising studies. But right now I would want to say that diet alone, diet alone curing cancer without medications is a pipe dream. Okay, maybe 20 years, 25 years down the line, where when we understand the complete pathway of how a cancer is working, diet alone might help. But right now it definitely has to come in a matrix wherein it is complemented by via medicine. So somebody who tells you just that diet alone can cure cancer, right now I do like there is no such study that proves that it is possible. All right, so let's look at what studies do tell us. Histidine catabolism is a major determinant of methotrexate sensitivity. So methotrexate is a very important drug, okay, that has been used in enormous amount of clinical trials to treat cancer. And the story behind how methotrexate was discovered is actually very inspiring. So first of all, folate, that is vitamin B9, uh, was discovered by, like, how it is implicated in cancer was discovered by a very promising physician. His name was Sidney Farber, and now a very popular cancer institute, that is Dana Farber Cancer Institute, is also run on his name. So Sidney Farber was basically a pediatrician, and what he found was that some patients, like kids who had leukemia, when they were supplemented with vitamin B9 or folate, the cancer became really aggressive. So he thought, what if he can supply a antagonist or something that basically inhibits the amount of folate that is present. So what he did was he gave a drug. I am forgetting the name. It's aminoterrin, I think, which is a folate antagonist. And what he found that if he gave aminoterrin, there was a temporary remission in the cancer in the kids. So then that's how basically it started, that if we can inhibit the folate activity, then it could be used as a treatment for cancer, and that is exactly how methotrexate works. It basically inhibits the folate activity. So now what these researchers have done over here is that so like I said, the chemotherapeutic drug methotrexate inhibits the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase, but methotrexate has high toxicity. Okay, so we need something else which basically can somehow increase the sensitivity of this drug towards the cancer. So what they have done is basically histidine catabolism. Basically, if you want to metabolize histidine, for example, for that also you need this tetrahydrofolate. Basically, this enzyme leads to formation of tetrahydrofolate. So what was happening is that if you were giving a patient methotrexate, some tetrahydrofolate was reserve were already there. Okay, so still the cancer was able to grow. Now what they did was they gave histidine. So whatever extra tetrahydrofolate was there, that was basically being utilized in histidine catabolism, and that is why it was increasing the sensitivity of methotrexate. Okay, so that is also one particular thing they have suggested, that if you supplement histidine along with treating with methotrexate, that can definitely increase the sensitivity of this particular drug towards cancer patients. So that is very interesting, that just one amino acid alone can lead to increase in the sensitivity of the drug methotrexate, right? So before I actually go to the study, I just wanted to help you understand. Some of you might not be very well versed with the topic. So cellular metabolism or cancer metabolism in general is, if you target the metabolism of cancer cells, then definitely you can there could be a remission in the cancer. So glucose is something that is well known to be taken in enormous amounts by cancer cells. So basically, if there is anything that can inhibit the uptake of glucose by cancer cells, that is definitely going to be that will lead to remission of cancer or inhibiting the growth of cancer. So so this study over here that was published in 2021, that basically tests that if low glycemic diets alter lipid metabolism to influence tumor growth. So what they have done is the scientists have taken one calorie restricted diet and one ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet is a diet which is rich in fats, okay, and caloric deficient diet is basically you're giving less amount of calories to your body, right? So what they found was that the caloric restriction, that means if you eat less amount of food or basically restrict the amount of calories that you're taking, that actually led to reversal, or basically you can say inhibition of growth of the cancer cells. But what they found that if they take ketogenic diet, so ketogenic diet is basically diet deprived of carbohydrates. So like I said, if you think in the fundamental terms, calorie restrictive diet and a ketogenic diet both should work, because both of them have less amount, like both of them are supplying less amount of glucose. But what they found was that the calorie restricted diet worked better than ketogenic diet, even though ketogenic diet did not have a lot of carbohydrates. It's very rich in fats and proteins, but it is very low on carbohydrates. So technically it should have worked, but what they found out that it does not work. Ketogenic diet does not work, and the reason behind that is when you do not supply carbohydrates or glucose in particular to the cancer cell in the ketogenic diet, then it takes the extra amount of lipids that it is getting. So it basically switches its metabolism from glucose to the to basically lipids and fats. Whereas in calorie restricted diet, the amount of fats is also less and the amount of carbohydrates is also less. So that is why this calorie restricted diet works better. So that is one thing that they found. Then another study was published. So PI3K inhibitors, this is basically a kinase, which is again a very important in the cancer pathway. Okay, it's called, basically you can say that in some way it like I said, for cancer metabolism, glucose is very important. So it plays a very vital role in that particular pathway. Now again, what they found was that this PI3K or the kinase inhibitors that are being given to treat cancer, they have very less therapeutic efficacy, right? They are not showing a therapeutic effect as, let's say, other drugs. So what they try to find out, what could be the reason behind this? Okay, so like I said, the inhibition of this enzyme disrupts the glucose metabolism in multiple tissues. Now the problem was that if there was an insulin spike, okay, let's say if the patient ate something which led to insulin spike, when there is a spike in the insulin, the glucose insulin feedback caused by targeted inhibition of this pathway is sufficient to activate the signaling. That means even if you're supplying the inhibitors, even then this particular pathway can be activated if there's a increase in the supply of insulin. Okay, so if there's a spike in the insulin because of something that you ate, that can again activate this pathway, even if you're basically taking up these PI3K inhibitors. So what they have suggested is that if we can prevent this by using dietary or pharmaceutical approaches, basically spike in the insulin, then that could make these PI3K inhibitors highly efficacious. Okay, so this was again one study, and there are many more studies. This is again another study. Dietary methionine influences therapy in mouse cancer models. So here also, I think they altered the amount of methionine, that is again an amino acid that you are taking, and they found that it increases the sensitivity of various cancer drugs. And again, I have the PDFs of all of them because I have access through my institution, that is University of Delhi. But in case any one of you wants access to them, you can just write to me in the comments. I will try to provide you the access, or you can ask some of your seniors or someone who already has access to those articles if you want to, study them in a lot more detail. But like I said, currently it's still a pipe dream to only cure cancer with the help of diet. And the problem is that till now we have only scratched the surface. We still do not have a very clear understanding of how various biochemical, like the biochemistry of the cancer. We are not really clear about that, and how diet affects the biochemistry or the biochemical parameters in the cancer. And then cancers are also very susceptible or very sensitive to the genetic makeup. So let's say if there's a particular mutation that has led to a particular cancer, how the nutrients or how the diet is going to be different for that cancer is also something that we need to study. What I mean by that is, let's say we could have the same cancer. Okay, two patients could have, let's say, pancreatic cancer, but if the genetic makeup of that cancer is different, then the same diet or the same nutrient might work differently. So we need to have a more broader and a more deeper understanding of how things work before we can actually have guidelines of what particular diets might work for particular cancers and what might not. Secondly, doing clinical trials when it comes to like clinical trials when it comes to cancer is very difficult, because most of these studies have been done on mouse models. And the problem is because you can easily you can easily log the diet that is given to a mouse, but it is very difficult for you to actually log the diet that is given to patients in trials. Okay, it's very difficult to have an account of what they're eating and what they're not. Secondly, trials that are purely based on diet is also very, very difficult to basically conduct, because as I can see, it will be very difficult to get patients who are suffering from from cancer, as particularly in the advanced stage of cancer. I mean, I don't know how many of them would be willing to, enroll for a trial that is only based on dietary supplement. Okay, because that is a very, very huge risk. So I think there are many problems that comes with clinical trials just based on diet. So currently, I think the more focus is going to be on the research aspect or supplementing it with the already known medicines and see how it works. And then maybe later down the line in the future, you could see clinical trials that are just based on the nutritional aspect to it. So that was a gist of how diet and cancer are related. So still it's a very new field. I think some of you, if you are interested in this, you can look up in detail and maybe even pursue your research in this field. I think this has tremendous scope. And yeah, that's it for now. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up so that it can reach to more viewers, right? If you don't, then also it's okay, not a problem. But anyway, I hope you found it helpful. Take care and bye bye.